Hey everyone, I want to talk about how to send 1 million emails a day for 400 bucks a month. 400 bucks a month. So if you're starting or growing a financial media biz, email is pretty important. I know it's old. I initially thought surely I should just be doing SMS and emails for people that figured that out 10 years ago, or maybe started 20 years ago, or even longer. But the strange thing that happens is people move on to better opportunities, uh, or other opportunities. I don't know exactly what someone who's really good at email would, well, they might go into like fund management. Probably not. Some sort of family office thing. Um, or maybe they move to SMS. It doesn't really matter. I don't have to make up scenarios of what people are up to. But the point is, it is an owned protocol, which is great. And I do have this uh, comparison of that number. So it's pretty wild. But like, let's say you have 600 subscribers, right? You send a couple times a week to them. So over the course of maybe a few times a week, you have like 10 times as many emails you've sent as subscribers, right? Makes sense. On this email, you need an email thing to send it with, right? So one of them, SendGrid, that sends your email. It's like Gmail or Yahoo, I guess. And then SES would be another way to send your email. And this one costs 60 cents. So this doesn't really matter, right? Um, but if your email is growing, your list is growing, say 10% a week. I think I have this, yeah, 10% a week. Um, it starts to matter a year from now. Well, now you're sending 700,000 emails a month, and now you're saving about $400 a month. Now that also doesn't really matter, right? Because at that point, you know, if you're sending, let's say, 700,000 emails a month, and you assume each subscriber is worth 50 cents a month, or maybe more like 10 cents a month would be a conservative estimate. You're able to pay this difference, right? So there's really no point in doing SES versus SendGrid. Um, but here's the dealio. It is nice to know that you could move and try out SendGrid. I mean SES if you know, were looking for maybe a dedicated IP through Amazon. I mean, you could do that with SendGrid too, but it's kind of a back burner opportunity anyway, option. It is good to know that you're not reliant on this one piece of software. That's the big thing. And I'm definitely not reliant on it anymore now that I moved my database over to Supabase. Um, and then I have this Make, which is the glue, the Zapier to send all the messages. And everything's working here. This is a big milestone actually. I sent a weekly message, weekly newsletter. Could be a daily newsletter, depending on how the events, the opens, the clicks. There are actually quite a bit more clicks than I expected. About 4% of the subscribed list, the delivered emails, which is maybe 95% of the subscribed list delivered. There's a couple I might have to check on, maybe a dozen, half a dozen, maybe less than that, where it didn't quite deliver. But I don't think there's any difference in delivering through the database, the CRM you call it, through Zapier, Make, whatever you want to call it, the glue that makes the call to SendGrid to actually send the emails. It's called a call, because it's an API or whatever. But you need a thing that manages the actual things that send all the emails. So I have the name stored and then I send them through SendGrid. Anyway, it worked fine. But there are going to be scaling constraints at some point. So it's nice to at least look at a table like this. Now, the other thing that's more interesting than just this is going to be SMS, with the main differentiator, of course, being that you need to be crystal clear with opt-in consent. And I pretty much am. It's also helpful to have this dialed down so that I can send from the same CRM to email and SMS, not necessarily concurrently, but I can at least see a subscriber's activity quite clearly and have that activity visible should I want to, make a question to the database, to the CRM, which you can sort of use natural language to maybe form a query, a question, and then say, hey, what segment of people have engaged with the emails in the past month, whether that's an open, let's send an SMS to the segment of those who have an opt-in for SMS, of course. So that is where we're going here. The SMS is going to be more costly. Maybe if the email costs, gosh, half of a cent, that might be kind of a high estimate. It's a really high estimate, actually. I don't exactly know, but I know it doesn't really matter right now, so that's good to know. SMS will maybe be about the same. I know that's not true. I know SMS is probably like 5 to 10 times more expensive than email, but I'm going to see when I send out the first handful of SMSs. So that'll be good. Maybe send out like, a dozen once I get those first. There are some opt-ins already coming in. But then when I have that SMS platform with Bitwext or Trackly set up, I'll be able to send using that. I do need that. I don't know if there's really another option because I do need all of my information verification through a platform for SMS, and that takes time. It's taking at least a couple weeks, maybe more like a month or more to do all that. So that's fine, continuing to monitor the email events. You actually get quite a bit of information seeing when I put out a YouTube video, and I hesitate to even talk about YouTube at all because it seems so, what's the word? Just unimportant or juvenile or just ancillary to what we're trying to do here, which is give people information really in a newsletter form. But it is a pretty phenomenal discovery platform. So, if I look at my recent YouTube, it's not great, right? There's definitely rooms for improvement, but the point is that there are occasionally rushes of signups. So a single video can result in maybe 10 signups within, a day or two, or maybe 3, this video, for example. And then over the course of a week, if you get 10, 20 signups a week, let's say that's, and the costs, say, will be aggressive here at $5. That's $75 you could say that you're in contacts you're able to acquire from a source like YouTube. So does that matter? No, but when you look at this growth, it's good to have as a inflow, as a river, you could say, to this customer relationship management platform, to everyone who's engaged with your macro trade money rotation ideas, opportunities. And of course, the clicks are nice to see 4% clicks. So this is really, you really have to extrapolate here to get this to be interesting. But 14 clicks on SMS, it doesn't, there's really nothing to do with that information. But when you do have that after offers wall with the different newsletter recommendations, which I do mention, and people are signing up, or at least, well, they are signing up. I don't know whether they're interacting with those newsletters or reading them or continuing to read them or not, but I think I'm at about 40 cents per impression. So That's not good, right? I get paid 40 cents back anytime someone signs up for my best AI stocks immediately. Um, that could be improved, but the notable part as well there is, well, that's not really notable. I don't think that's a conversion rate optimization worthwhile part of the funnel right now. Just because what am I going to do? Like put my logo above the recommended newsletters? I'm already mentioning them in the video. It's fine. It's evidence that this is moving in the right direction, but super broadly, one foot in front of the other, what's important is really ignoring this if we're being real. Email's a solved thing, getting SMS up and going. Nothing really to do there right now. Monitoring these events, but really is seemingly unimportant as it seems. Well, really looking at the market is what's going to be important. Um, and no one really wants to hear that who has a financial media biz. But in the shortest term, I think that's kind of important for me because that'll be able to basically funnel some growth into somewhere. I don't even know what I would spend money on if I were to. You know, you can't spend any money on YouTube ads to grow your YouTube really because it dilutes it a little bit. I mean, I might be being picky here. You can't spend money on more software. Theoretically, you could, and this is maybe advanced for my skill set, but you know, you can reach out to people and then if they interact with your emails, add them to your email list, um, you know, with unsubscribes and all that. But it's a little bit gray depending on the area of the world you're in. Uh, not really with disclosures and all that, but there's plenty to bite off of here. So we'll see you in the next one. Follow me on X. Good luck.